Bharat beyond 2024. It's what matters. There's one group of nations where, along with Bharat, the world will be looking at Bharat for a new Bretton Woods. Bharat, Russia, and China will have to clearly demarcate their spheres of influence. I mean, we can discuss as much as we want, but nothing concrete will come out of it. I think you're giving some advices to the Ministry of External Affairs, and I have rejected it multiple times. You have to set the background first for any possibility of discussions that you are not going to consolidate manufacturing within China alone. Foreign policy does not work only on the function of trust. If you are not completing your part, I'm not obliged to fulfill my part.
That's very diplomatic.
That Bharat is not competing with China. We do not see China as a rival nation. There are concerns about the definition of who is a citizen. Bharat having the trust factor in geopolitics in terms of foreign policy after the closure of this Ukraine conflict to save themselves from the grooming gangs. A bloody chaos over there. We do not want any Muslim to be.
For the Bharat beyond 2024, we'll discuss every angle. Since you brought economic in the first part, we'll discuss every angle like geopolitical, defense, economic, trade and commerce. We'll discuss every part in detail. What is your take as an overview? What is your take on the Bharat beyond 2024, Shahji?
You are going to enter into a phase of global uncertainties immediately. In economic terms, while it's like there's one group of nations where, along with Bharat, you are trying to shift out the trade from the US dollar and the SWIFT, which you are going to find a leadership with that Kazan summit in Russia in October, after the elections itself, where more members are going to join BRICS Plus. And that new system will begin operating, at least in terms of pilot transactions. At the same time, you will have UK and US election timed up along with it. Their entire stock market, as we know, is run by 5-7 tech companies, which is almost like a bubble that they have created. Moving into a world where the bilateral foreign policies are going to be aligned more than multilateral platforms. So the more that you have free trade agreements with individual nations, the more you would be able to bargain things and bring stability internally for your people, which is what the Prime Minister has done on time. Besides that, we are seeing a massive amount of food crisis chaos kind of a thing coming in for the world. And the Prime Minister has also now started planning that in terms of massive storage facilities across the country. So you are going to have a global role of bridging the east, west, north, south of the entire world. And when this chaos will reach peak, the world will be looking at Bharat for a new Bretton Woods.
Okay.
But this is a period where the countries of the world want not just their own nations decolonized, but all international bodies being decolonized. And that decolonization clearly translates into a multipolar, multi-currency international trade kind of format of operations. So we are heading in this decade towards China plus 10 in manufacturing, US dollar plus 10 in currencies, and US Russia plus 10 in defense tech as well. Okay. So it's going to be a bifurcation and dilution of centralization and unipolar unilateral world that was devised after the Second World War.
Firstly, we'll go with the geopolitical aspect, and that will start with the neighboring countries as well. So Pakistan is a gone case, and so we are competing China as wherever we are trying to put in our competition as well. And so many have become our allies, like Bangladesh is so dependent on us and has become one of the trusted allies as well. Sri Lanka, we can say, and Nepal, there is no other way for there. And Bhutan, like there are many countries which has become like in Southeast Asia. We are having a very good presence. Like recently, also as the time we speak, the Thailand India Joint Commission missions has been happening. So like in Southeast Asia, many things are undergoing a very good phase. So what do you think? Will it be in the Asia? Will it be India, China, or will there be any nations can give some cooperation to India? Or will there be any countries which has a depart from India? What is your thought on that?
I've been clear about this, that Bharat, Russia and China will have to clearly demarcate their spheres of influence eventually in the post-US world order. Okay? Which means that you are not going to be meddling in the other's sphere of influence, which also means regional integration. So your integration with Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan, Pakistan. I'm saying Pakistan as well. Okay. Okay. So that integration is going to increase. Okay. In the new world order. Now that regional integration means eventually you will have to be ready for sharing your prosperity with the neighbors.
We are already doing it, and with Sri Lanka or some other nation,
and that also means that these neighbors will have to share the decision making of their policies with Delhi.
Okay,
it doesn't happen one way street.
Okay. So so India becoming another US in the stream of Asia. Okay.
It doesn't go one way.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it.
So, if tomorrow, if you're giving aid to Maldives, and then the Chinese armed vessels are going to be docked in Maldives, and that doesn't work. Okay. So, that is the kind of understanding which Bharat, China and Russia, that kind of wisdom that they will have to show, that Asia first has to be multipolar before we even claim of making the world multipolar. Okay, first you become multipolar. Okay. So, and the conditions are very straightforward for the Bharat-China relations. The first one being that you're going to reverse 1965 internally within China. Otherwise, there is no right atmosphere to discuss Bharat-China relations. I mean, we can discuss as much as we want, but nothing concrete will come out of it. So when I say a reversal of 1965, I mean revival of every single one there within China.
Okay.
What I mean is that China be able to showcase what its linkages with ancient Bharat was in full public display.
Will China do that?
If they want to go ahead with the relations, as I told you, I mean, we two can sit.
I think you are giving some advices to the Ministry of External Affairs, because I have a doubt, because see, these things happened in future, in the future time, like the viewers. I think I have a doubt from Mr. Shah. Tell me, sir.
Like that. If I would have had something like that, then I would. Why would I not flaunt it? Okay.
Got it.
So, see, the things which you are telling is happening on now, or like it is happening naturally also. I have a doubt. That's why, many people have this doubt. It's just that. It's a doubt. It's only a doubt.
Okay.
So, and I have rejected it multiple times.
Okay.
So, if I and you are supposed to sit and discuss something,
Got it.
and we want concrete outcomes, otherwise why we are wasting time?
Exactly.
Okay. So if Bharat and China relations have to move forward, you have to set the background first for any possibility of discussions, which is, as I said, a reversal of 1965 and a reversal of 1979. Okay. When I say reversal of 1965, as I said, two conditions. One, that every single mandir needs to be revived. Your festivals need to be revived. Your linkages with ancient Bharat put up for a full public display. Okay? Second, reversal of 1979 means that you are not going to consolidate manufacturing within China alone. You are going to share manufacturing with Russia, Bharat, and the surrounding region as well. Okay? These two are very clear terms.
It's a kind of a huge job, so we will look forward for that because, but if this is happening, like
I'm saying this should be the direction of decay.
Okay.
This entire decay. Otherwise, you can enjoy your unipolar world, which is
let me put in this way, Shahji, like if or there is a regime change, like let's not put up in that case, or if there is a regime change in China, will this be a possible manner to take forward for India-China or India-Russia-China relations? What do you think about that?
Well, what you're suggesting is if Xi Jinping is not in power and someone else comes,
Regime change?
what about the consistency of this policy?
Exactly.
Well, you get us. I mean, see, foreign policy does not work only on the function of trust. That has never been the case. You complete one milestone, I complete one milestone. That's what it is. So if you are not consistent with your policies, then I have to revisit the commitments from my side.
So it's not about the person.
I'm saying,
Okay.
if you are not completing your part, I'm not obliged to fulfill my contract.
That's very diplomatic. So yes, Shahji. So yeah, China has been increasing its presence in the South China Sea or in African countries as well. So wherever they can, they are putting their state or their presence forward. So what India should do for this types of thing? Because see, we have included the African Union in the G20, and we are also increasing our presence in the many countries of the Africa as such. So what India needs to do beyond China? Because see, they are present and they have conflicts also. In each and every part of the country, they have their conflicts as well. So what do you think that India should do in this manner, Shahji?
Let me put this very clear, that Bharat is not competing with China. Okay? We do not see China as a rival nation. We see a scene where the entire region can progress together. So there can be convergence of interests. Now, from the list of items of convergence, we may move ahead together with, say, 5 items. You may drop 3, I may drop 2. Okay? But if you are suggesting that you are going to compete with a rivalry intent with Bharat in spheres where our primary interests lie, then it's going to be a trouble, difficult times in the relationship.
Got it.
Okay. Now, in terms of the regions, it is very clear that ancient Bharat was linked from Saudi Arabia, that side, to Laos, Cambodia on the other side. Now, since you mentioned South China Sea, Bharat's primary interest in that region lies 2 ways. One is the Chennai Vladivostok trade route that we want to revive, which should not be anyways a problem with you, Russia being your a fellow communist nation. Should not be a problem. And second, what we see is the revival of Sanatan till Laos, Cambodia, which means a Matir ecosystem with complete connectivity across, with Ayodhya as the central node of Bharat. I do not see why China needs to have any concerns with this. As long as there are no military objectives, there shouldn't be a concern. And similarly, we expect that reciprocity in the Bharatiya Mahasagar region. Okay? So if Bharat is going to the Red Sea with its navies and doing security, conducting those duties, and if China is going to enter that very same region with its military might, we don't want to see a clash of conflict of interest in that region. And we are all for freedom of navigation, by the way.
So let me expand to some other regions as well. And so US, and so they are trying, and we are also having a very good relationship with the US. And so PM recently had a state visit, and many like recently also the deputy state secretary of US also came in, like Ambassador Richard Verma was the former ambassador to India. And yeah, the counterparts have been coming here and we are going there, and the relationship is very good, and we are having a very close relationship with the Washington also. So what do you think? Like we have discussed the 2024 elections for Bharat, but what do you think on the 2024 elections of US? Because see, at the end of the day, whether it is going to be Republicans or the Democrats is the question which everyone has. And even more surprised, the candidates are up to, like here Trump, and we don't know who is on the other side, whether it is going to be Joe Biden or whether it is going to be someone else, because Biden is very aged. And so what do you think of the US election? Because there are lots and lots of things which is going on.
I think the country is at a point where there are concerns about the definition of who is a citizen in that nation. And in terms of election, obviously it would have repercussions if you are not clear who your citizen is. So, and in terms of economics, that we know that more and more chaos is coming forward, which means, as I've been predicting, that there will be a banking and IT sector wrap up in the West, which is almost visible now, and it's going to more and more get worse. I think this election is going to be very interesting in the US. We don't know about the final candidates yet. There could be some surprise candidate as well, we would not know. But certainly not President Biden, because even on the health counts, it doesn't look like. Okay? In terms of Bharat-US relations, I think it would not matter much who comes to power. But if you are to ask me my preference for this particular election, I would prefer Democrats.
Not Republicans.
No, for this particular election.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because Democrats have been pretty smooth in terms of the deals that Bharat would want with the country. With the Republicans, there is always an element of God thing coming in. There is a kind of a traditional approach to it where things might not go as smooth as general diplomatic terms or protocols, how they operate. Particularly, we've seen this with President Trump, where you see when we had a very good bonhomie the Prime Minister had with him, and with President Biden as well. But then with President Trump, you would not know when some sanction would come, some more tariffs would come. Okay? So that kind of negotiations are very smooth with the Democrats.
Okay.
With the Republicans, you have another set of benefits. But in terms of Bharat-US relations, I'm telling you, by 2030, I see US as taking the role of Lakshman.
Okay.
Okay. And to wish that kind of loyalty for Sri Ram, multiple zeros will go from the Western assets.
Any names?
I'm saying in terms of financial reasons.
Also, what about post 2024? Like after this elections also, if in case Democrats come to the power, so like what will be the scenario of the world order? Because we talked on the aspects of India's, we talked from the Bharatian angle. So what would be the world order post 2024 from the US side?
I think post 2024, there will be an acknowledgement that the world has already become multipolar. The US does not anymore have that hegemonic domination or influence in all the geographies. You're already seeing signals with the defense cut in the army. The other day, the news has come where they're acknowledging Russian military. And I've been predicting, and I'm very clear on this, if the technology, the tech transfer which Bharat is talking about, if we are not getting that, within some months, the US defense experts will be giving interview in Russia.
Okay.
And anyways, we are going to get the same technology.
So, Shaji, how do you see the Russian rise? Because it has been there in the war, and war has been happening, and recently our external affairs minister Jaishankar also met the Russian president Vladimir Putin. So at one point of time, US is the leading the world order, I would say, indirectly or directly leading the world order. So how do US see the rise of Russia, and how do post 2024? What will be the relations between Russia and the US? Because see, we know that Putin is going to stay for a very long time, but here if there is a regime change, or here if there is something which is happening, what will be the US-Russia relations going forward?
I think the sense of emotion in geopolitics is that Russia and China realize the importance of Bharat participating along with the West in the Western groups. And the West equally sees how beneficial it is to see that Bharat is participating in BRICS and SCO to them.
Okay.
So they see a role of Bharat as a bridge. And all three big powers acknowledge this importance. Because, say, they are not going to have genuine one-on-one talk, eye-to-eye with each other. And probably Bharat having the trust factor in geopolitics in terms of foreign policy, of doing what we say, actually meaning what we say. I think that trust factor has increased the importance value of Bharat in the global politics. Whereas the global South also sees that this is a genuine representation for them as well.
Well,
Bharat. Okay. So each one of them seeing you as their representative, what can be a better position than this in geopolitics? So which is why Jaishankar ji says that the foreign policy is going to be about as many number of groups that I can be into.
But
that has a leverage and benefit in multiple ways. So I see the bonhomie between Russia and Bharat that I have predicted that can be a reciprocating territory status eventually within few years. That bonhomie is also going to indirectly benefit United States, because understand that even after UK lost the global power status, its alliance with US is what kept them kicking and thriving. I would believe someone sitting in Washington, those calling the shots, would understand the wisdom of aligning with Bharat in a lower road, in between the two, as the new Lakshman after 2030. Okay, that would be purely beneficial to US.
Shaji, Moscow, Washington, and apart from this, we can see that Bharat is very, very close with European nations. Let's say
With the Middle East as well.
Middle East. Yeah, I'll come to the next. Middle East is the next big thing. I'll come to that. I want to deal. I want to have a separate for this part of this Europe as well. So yeah, we have been seeing for the past 2 years for the rising agenda. Last year, Meloni has been the chief guest, and this year, Greece Prime Minister has been the chief guest. We had Macron for the Republic functions, and Rishi Sunak often comes here. So he's like, he's not treated as the other country's Prime Minister. He's treated as our own son of the soil as well. We can see many nations coming forward. We saw the Chancellor of Germany coming last year, and he also visited several parts of Italy as well. So what do you think? Because see, all these countries have been very close with with Bharat, and they are coming very forward and very closely with the Bharatian counterpart. So what's the future of the India-European relations? Because I'm mentioning as a zone, as a region itself. Because see, Russia, I mean, France and India are very close. UK and India are very close. Now, Italy and India are also becoming very close.
Greece and
Greece as well, and many countries, even Belgium to some extent. So we can keep on saying all those countries, but Germany as well. So what is the future of all these countries, or what is the future of all these regions? And will they be a very good support to Bharat, or will they have some misconceptions with the growth of Bharat? Because see, we are rising all of a sudden. We are surprising. And Modi ji told that in his third term, the economy will become, India will become the third largest economy as well. We will discuss that separate. But what is your take on this, Shahji?
My understanding is that Europe, as a whole, after the closure of this Ukraine conflict, after the closure, would have a very diluted sense of its economic strength. And by default, that translates into the geopolitical heft coming down. Now, one of the things that I've predicted that it might face crusades. Okay? And probably would have to resort to child marriage, which is Balika Vadu, or even Sati or Jovar, to save themselves from the grooming gangs. So I see a bloody chaos over there. Okay? UK particularly, from London itself as a base, could be a terror ground in that city, the capital city itself. So the future looks bleak for Europe to read, but my understanding is that since they have this background of secularism coming from that region, I think Bharat will be able to find out a middle pathway, because understand, you do not want human rights issues in those nations with bad treatment being given to the Muslim immigrants. I mean, if that happens, Bharat is going to raise its voice. Okay? Countries of particular concern status. Okay? So we are not okay with that. And that is where it is heading towards, is what looks like. So I think it's going to be Bharat who would be able to show a middle path. And just as been the case that Yog, Ayurveda and Bhatir has been helping the Gulf, probably that might as well help here.
That's a very wonderful put up point. So I'll come to Middle East and your favorite bastion as well. So what do you think of the Middle East? Like we recently 8 Navy officers, if I'm not wrong, has been released from Qatar. That's a huge diplomatic win, which no one could expect that this thing will happen. Yeah, that's why I asked the question that whether you are giving advice to the MBA or whether you are some secret agent or something. Okay, so I'll come back to my questions here. So yes, so we had a very good diplomatic win in Qatar. Whether it is Saudi Arabia, it is already a win-win situation. But in Qatar, like, we know what is happening in between Israel and the other countries and how they are manipulating things as well. But we can see that India is very close and India has a very good relationship with Qatar and UAE as well and Saudi Arabia as well. So what are the future which you are predicting? As
we have good relations.
Yeah. As you said, like last time we have spoken about Mohammed bin Salman. Like he is trying to revive Saudi Arabia and he is trying to bring he is trying to bring all these extremist forces down. He is trying to revive in a very intellectual manner as well. So what is your take on what, apart from Bharat, so what is the future of all these places? Because see, all these nations are very close to India right now. About some of the other countries, like where they are in conflict or the other things. Apart from that, all other countries from Middle East has a very good relationship with Bharat right now. What is your take on that?
You spoke some interesting words. Revival. You also talked about they having good relations with Bharat.
Now, I'll put it I'll correct my question. Whether it is having a good relationship with Bharat is reviving those things. See, understand this concept of Garvapsi. The concept of Garvapsi means that the naughty kids now do not have money in their pockets. So they come back home with the parents. It is something like that. This is as simple as that. I don't understand why experts complicate things. It's like you left the parents home with good amount of pocket money, and now you've spent it. Now there's nowhere to go. Coming back home. That's all with the Garvapsi concept. Okay. I do not know how and why people get into bloody clashes, and why do they have to threaten each other, why they have to shout at each other while talking the concept of Garvapsi. This concept is as simple as this. Okay? So the Middle East is trying to, when you say revival, and I'll tell you why, because I've been writing on this theme of de-dollarization, de-radicalization, decolonization.
Exactly.
De-communism, because we want the funders in China, right? So de-communism as well, and de-missionization. So why these things are going ahead parallel? Understand the concept, the importance of the concept of decolonization. What that means. Why do you want to save yourself? If I am to ask you as a person, why do you want to be alive? Tell me that. This is not just about physical presence. That is what I'm trying to explain to God. You want to be alive, not just because you got a physical body to be alive. You want to be alive because you believe that you have taken within you all the accumulated wisdom of your ancestors. Otherwise, you are nothing. I mean, let me tell you. Not as a person. I'm trying to explain the concept of decolonization. So we have been talking a lot about Middle East and the other nations as well. So we'll come to the end because if we keep, there are many things to be discussed with you, and you are also very busy, and we will discuss a lot more in the next upcoming days. So you went to Israel, so I would like to end there. So you went to Israel. So what is the future of that Israel versus Gaza, or what are the things which is there, which is happening over there? Please give us some insight, because we people have been analyzing, or we people have been seeing which is happening there, but you went there. What is the stand of the Israel government? And because in the last 10 years, we can see how Israel and Bharat has become so close, so closer, and especially between Benjamin Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi as well. So, what is the relationship going to, I mean, how is the relationship going to be carried forward? That's the one question. And how is the war situation which is going on, and when it will be ended, sir? So, these are my two questions. So, see, Bharat and Israel relations are exactly like the defense deals that we do. Okay. Spike and spice. So, that summarizes the relationship. In terms of the kind of positioning that we have in the conflict, we are very clear that there needs to be a permanent solution, which is a two-state solution. Okay. Now, when we say two-state solution, we do not want any Jew to be visible in the Palestinians' net. Similarly, we do not want any Muslim to be visible in the Jewish state. A clean two-state solution. Without that, anything short of that is not going to be a long-term solution. And we have seen partition of this during that very colonial period when they also got liberated and they got built. So we understand that there has to be a clean partition if there has to be a partition. One. Second, looking at the position that is right now, my understanding is Israel
should have the responsibility of ensuring the security of the South Gaza people, which means the border which is common with Egypt, that needs to be under the governance of Israel. Because you do not want to give them more excuses to attack the Gazans. So then let you be the police. Right? So tomorrow we should not have an excuse that there were some terrorists there, they were building something, they were making something, and we got attacked, which is why we are retaliated. Let's hand over the security of South Gaza to Israel. Let them have let's pin the responsibility on the Israelis. Similarly, since you have completely destroyed North Gaza, now it is your responsibility to rebuild it and let the Jews live in that refurbished city. No one should go through the pain of having memories of living in that refurbished town. None of the Gazans are interested. So this is how I look at things. So let Jews spend their money, build the North Gaza, and let them live there. This is how I see it.
Got it.
Now, in terms of, since we were discussing that part of decolonization, I was trying to explain that concept. So I was giving an example that why do you want to live as an individual?
Is that
because you believe that you are able to operate life in a way where you are able to apply the entire accumulated wisdom of your ancestors. Which is why you have a Bible. Otherwise, why you should be living? So, when we see this problem of wokeism in the West, it is only because they do not recognize their origin, the roots, the respect for the ancestors and the parents, the contribution they made to the world. Which is why decolonization requires redefining of all the scientific discoveries, revisiting them once again, and knowing what your ancestors contributed to the world. So you're not surprised why Saudi Arabia or UAE, for that matter, Bahrain, or even in the further countries you are seeing, wherever they dig out, they find some Sanatan symbol coming out. Okay? Now when you have that pride with what your ancestors contributed, then you no more require to have the fancy names of foreign countries, fancy clothes of foreign countries, because you have pride within yourselves. This is what the decolonization process means. It is nothing complicated. So you're not surprised if Crown Prince NBS wants to check out what was the pre-Islamic history of their motherland. So tomorrow, if you find those ancient mandir sites coming up from Saudi Arabia, and they calling the Prime Minister for the Pran Pratishtha event, why you should be surprised? Because everybody had a Bharatiya roots. The language itself says that so many words simply passing on from Sanskrit and other derivations, which is how they have formed their lives and been living for centuries. So each country is in that region is trying to recollect what they've heard, because a lot of economics now depends on how much you are connected with the Bharatiya Upmahatvi. So, when the Middle East turns and calls itself West Asia, the West Asia will turn and call itself something that is linked to the Bharatiya Upmahatvi. Then there's a surprise about this process of decolonization, which is why you are seeing they're asserting themselves in the geopolitics as well. This has, if you have noticed, this has come only after the decolonization process began. Until then, these nations were not even able to voice what they wish, right? The nations have got their voice only because the decolonization process has taken.
Completely agree, Shwasat. So we have discussed from from the neighboring routes to US, to the Middle East, and to Europe and every part. So we have been having a very good conversation for the past 1.5 hours. Is there anything which you felt that it needs to be discussed, or which is your prediction, which we haven't discussed? Because there are many things which you are predicting, and beyond 2024, what is there which we haven't discussed?
More than the prediction, since I'm working on the Sanatan economics model, the more and more observation I have, and my realization has been that Bharatiya parenting has been the geoeconomics pivot of this world. So if Japan, Israel, France, these are the nations demanding to take your kids away from Bharat to their lands, it is not because your kids are precious, it is because Bharatiya parenting is precious. It is the Bharatiya parenting which is the pivot of the global geoeconomics of this world. And it is very underrated. People have no clue that this traditional system of parenting has been at the pivot of running the economic life cycles of the planet for so long.
Thank you so much, Shah sir, for this wonderful time and for this wonderful podcast. I think this will go very well, and I need your support as always. So thank you so much for the time.
Jai Shri Ram.